All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Makakwadash, Barakatum. Give honor to the apostle and the elders of Great Millstone, and to all I can across the globe, pushing the word of truth and in sincerity. I want to say Shalom. I just want to get into something about manners. Um, Sometimes we get those who comfortable around brothers, man. When we're invited to brothers' cribs and you may have close brothers in the crib or close brothers in the camp that you're, close to, and you hang out a little bit or whatever. But let's not forget manners. Never forget where we're at, who we're with. All right, and respect brothers' things, man. You go to brothers' cribs and you may be a little familiar with them, and you shouldn't be walking around brothers' cribs and going in the cabinets and refrigerators, and you come in a brother's crib, greet them, sit down and chill out. This is not a diss track, I guess, or like a light rebuke, I guess, or exhortation. And we gotta be very mindful. We're not offending brothers in their home. We're not going to brothers' cribs to spy out the liberty. All right, seeing what we can get from brothers' cribs. And I'm not saying that in a wicked manner. I know Jake don't mean no harm, but there is manner, there is order. Right, when you're visiting brothers in their own domains, man, and let's be respectable of brothers' things, be respectable of brothers' domains. Okay, this is a Sirach 32:1. It says, "Thou be made the master of a feast, give not thyself up, but be among them as one of the rest. Take diligent care for them, and so sit down." And make sure that we're counting the cost when we're inviting brothers over. I know everything doesn't always get covered. We may have to make store runs and, get some things maybe that we forgot. But, brothers are very charitable. They're very hospitable. They take very good care of us. We go visit out of town. We go visit particular brother crib for fight nights or classes. Remember, man, the brothers are doing us a solid. They open up their home for brothers, and they open up their a home where their families and their wives be at times, So we got to be very respectable, be mindful of the value of the mess, But for those who are hosts, man, hey, just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job, When thou hast done all thy office, take thy place, that thou mayst be married with them and receive a crown for thy well ordering of the feast, man. We see this everywhere we go, particularly here where I'm at. Brothers host El Fayad house is always open on Fridays and Saturdays after camp. The elder brother Yaquam, he's very has his crib open, and the particular brothers who have classes at the camp, classes at their homes. It's a big thing, man. A brother lets you in the home, and and let's just be mindful of our manners. All right, be mindful because they do a great service, providing victuals and just a place of fellowship. And this is the part. Anyway, speak thou that art the elder, for it becometh thee, but with sound judgment and hinder not music. And just getting this is not nothing like you can't kick it or nothing like that. It's a time and place for everything. But sometimes, man, they just want to relax. You got music going, you got libations going, and let Jake enjoy themselves, man. Everything not a Q&A when we get together. Everything's not a test of knowledge when we get together. Let Jake enjoy themselves, man. Jake work hard. Now I will say wisdom is never out of season. That's what, but just have a balance with it. We don't want to be a Debbie Downer. All right, we don't want to be that brother who gets a little saucy and a rebukeinator come out. It says pour not out words where there's a musician, and show not forth wisdom out of time. And that's the thing, man. We all know the scriptures. You know, we all have a level of understanding, you know. But Jake having a good time. Let Jake have a good time, man. Let Jake have a good time. Let them enjoy the moment. Let them enjoy each other, man. $4 words are a concert of music and a banquet of wine is a signet of carbuncle set in gold. You know, it's glorious. It's commendable. It's an honor. It's an honor, all right, to have brothers around, you know. And everybody likes to have a good host, you know. It says, speak, young man, if there be need of thee, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked, man. You know, a lot of times, you know, you got brothers who, or younger brothers who, brothers get excited being around older brothers, you know, especially when the apostles come in and elders and guests come in from other camps. You know, we want to, make ourselves known a bit, I guess. You know, but at the same time, you know, there's an order for all this behavior. You know, we be mindful of our alcohol consumption. You know, we're around brothers. You know, and not be trying to interject all the time and trying to show forth your wisdom and trying to one up brothers in the spirit. Hey, just relax, man. All right, relax. You know, enjoy the spirit, follow the spirit. You know, a lot of young brothers have a tendency to get comfortable. You know, they get a little jazzy at the mouth at times, man, and you know, sometimes I hate to say this, but you know, children should be seen and not heard. You know, this is not a knock. This is not a jab at younger brothers, but sometimes, you know, you just got to sit, watch, and listening is a very big part of the truth. You catch a lot of Jews, a lot of understanding just by sitting around, you know, listening. You know, the spirit, the Lord don't mind. Brothers don't mind answering questions, you know, but, you know, everything be done decently and in order. So let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words. You're the one that knoweth and yet holdeth his tongue. You know, you don't need a whole bunch of drawn out, you know, a bunch of drawn out testimonies and, you know, accounts and things like that, man. You know, we all got a revelation, we all got a psalm, you know. So just chill out. Sometimes you can just, you know, hold your wisdom in, man. You know, sometimes it's out of season. Sometimes it's out of season. It says, be the one that knoweth and yet hold up his tongue. And there's a lot of times where brothers, especially older brothers, been around a while, got experience in teaching, and we could always add on to the scriptures. You know, there's always a precept to a precept. All right, but sometimes you gotta, hey, Jake breaking it down right. Hey, let him break it down right. Brothers may not use the same analogies, the same similitudes, whatever, but it's being broken down right. The point is made. Let's move on, man, because, you know, technically, to be honest, you know, the older brothers, you know, could take over, you know, classes and speaking, and really at any moment, just because of the spirit that the Lord is dealing with them in, and the understanding of the scriptures, man. You know, but sometimes we gotta let Jake have it, let Jake get their shine. You know, just because you got a precept, like Eliyahu said, I got a precept, but sometimes you just gotta hold it. All right, like Murph said, man, go home and do a lesson, you know. This is, verse 9, it says, I'll be among great men, make not thyself equal with them. When ancient men are in place, use not many words, man. All right? There's conversations that, you know, and I've been around a little bit, you know, not that long, but a little while, and I've been in circles, and it's above my pay grade. All right, at the very least, I'm gonna be quiet. All right? At the most, if it's not concerning me, it's too hot, hey, I'll leave the room. All right? And these were brothers who I got, you know, years of battle with, years of memories with, and, you know, counsels, and, doing the work with over the time, you know, and sometimes you gotta be a fly on the wall, man. All right, soak in what you gotta soak in, because you never know what nugget or jewel the Lord will have a brother drop that'll be helpful and useful for you, man. All right, and basically that's it, man. Stay in order, stay in your place, so to speak, man. Remember our manners, remember who we're dealing with, who we're amongst. All right, definitely how we treat and how we talk to these brothers, man. All right, mind your words, mind your manners, mind your tongue. Okay, and just know, hey, read the room. All right, know what's going on, man. Know who you're around. Be careful. Watch your being hasty to speech, man. Just a little exhortation for brother, man. Mind your manners. You go to brothers' cribs and you're hosting or whatever, and you're around. Hey, just be in order. All right, remember the scriptures. Remember our place. Okay. Remember our place, man. And this is part of growing. It's part of maturing in the spirit. All right, where we just it's a little observation. A little observation, man, and for what you about shy for the assembly of the brothers that we have and able to congregate like that, but there's still order. All right, there's still things that we have to do to maintain our order within the camps, man. So with that, I'm gonna say call halal, you about outside. Everyone's gonna talk to the other great millstone. Till next time, shalom and the Bible bar.